All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Critical Continental Cup Power Rankings, and I've got with me the the squad. So how are you guys today?
Doing
Say
good,
hi.
man. Doing good. Hello.
I'm tired.
Hello.
I'm tired.
Morning, girls. Slowly
Oh,
recovering
man.
after last night.
Yep, what a night, what a night, what a night. Nothing like draft night.
Oh yeah. Ready to trash talk your
Nothing
team?
like
No, Phoenix. We're not gonna trash talk your team. Hopefully.
No.
I'm going to trash talk everyone's team like I did last night.
There we go.
Yeah, if
It's all
anyone
in
stuck
good
around
competitive fun.
after the
Yeah.
draft, there was sort of like pre-actual like rankings almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that being said, this is our opinion. Last season, K Mega was last in the power rankings, and look at him, he placed second. So,
Yes.
we can say all we want, but you can prove us wrong. So,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Prove us wrong. Take this as a anything that negative we say, just take it as something positive that you can improve upon during the season. And if you don't think we're right, prove us wrong and show us what your team can actually do.
Yeah,
exactly.
we don't know everything.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
We're not experts
we do
by
not.
any means. We're just a bunch of guys who like Pokemon a little too much.
Mhm.
Well, Phoenix was
For sure.
second last season. Looks like it.
Yeah.
So we'll get through them. Let's just
Yeah.
start with the Lugias. First timer. They're drafting for the first time in the league. Who wants to start with this one?
So okay, I'm gonna jump in because
Mhm.
I've given it the lowest score. Okay, I've
Okay.
scored it 5 compared to everyone else. Now
Mhm.
I want to first of all make abundantly clear that 5 is not bad. As far as I'm concerned, it's between 0 and 10. So 5 is perfectly middle of the road. Okay, that's average. My thoughts on this. Hang on, I've got notes. I've got right. It's most of the power is at the top tiers, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does sort of open it up to be exploited, I think. It's got good support options, but there's only one core, and I feel like that bottom tiers, the C's, the D's, and that they don't bring as much to the table as say other teams have got working for them. In my opinion, though, of course, all of this is individual opinions.
I agree. I feel like the Azumarill is great power. Dragapult, it's super speedy, great power, but it's also super frail. So we'll see how he's gonna handle that through. I'm not a big fan of the Toxapex. I feel like it's just a support mon, and that's all it does.
Yeah,
offensive wise, it doesn't do much for your team. I do like the Rapidash. It gives him an answer for the counter trick rooms and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Klefki is great. We do have Clefable Chansey, which I just see incoming Stall Wars.
Yes.
Which is gonna be we're gonna hate going against this team if he just starts
It's
like
gonna be rough.
stalwalling us this whole time. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, everything that's been said already. It's the bulkiest team in the league. If you don't have pure offense, you're going to struggle. Unless you've got some sort of gimmick or mechanic where you can like bypass some of the more stallier tactics. I mean, a good taunt against this team will sort it out, but how many times can you click taunt before you have to attack? You have to attack at some point.
I mean, I feel like you could deal with the Dragapult fairly easy with the Sucker Punch. I feel like that thing just goes down to any Sucker Punch. And if you want to deal with a Chansey Clefable, I mean, just bring like Swift or like hit moves that always hit. It's not that bad if you're prepared for it. I've gone against Shuckle Chansey before, and it wasn't a big deal. I do like the Klefki. Klefki is like super good as a prankster user. You get your screens and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. I think does it get this fairy move? What is it? I can't remember. Anyways,
Klefki? It gets I think Dazzling Gleam at least.
Yeah.
No, I was wondering like play rough or something, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I think it gets play rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lugias team is good. It's very bulky, which is, sometimes depending on your playstyle, you might want to play more bulky than heavily on attacking. He's got his redirectors are really good. He's got good damage reducers. He only has one -4, which I caught which was the Jirachis, which in draft league, you don't want to have a lot of -4 mods in there. Great. I mean, overall, great for his first draft. And negatives. I mean, again, he's got really good mods at the top. His bottom tier mods need some help, but I do like the Gala. I do like the Rapidash. I do like the Klefki. I do think he has a little too many fairies. There's about 3 fairy types showing on there as well. I mean, and then besides that, I mean,
4, in
the only
fact.
thing that 4, sorry. And then the only thing that caught my eye a little bit was when I was looking at special attackers. He just doesn't have any threatening
let's
special attackers other than
take a look.
Dragapult with the base 100. But I mean, then again, it's not the worst thing. But sometimes you might want to have some solid special attackers just in case. And you're not going to really want to run Dragapult 2 special that often, but that might be something that you might want to look into as some trades or when you go into the free agent pool and whatnot. And besides that, I mean, you got the -3 ground weakness, which you can cover. The electric weakness is -2 is a little questionable. You do have some answers to that, but there's no direct answer for that electric weakness that I see off the top of my head. But I mean, overall, I mean, for your first draft, great job. And I tell you one thing, it's going to be, if you do not bring the power against this team, you are going to struggle. So make sure you bring power.
Yeah, Phoenix
That's
points
true.
out that Throw is a good Pokemon on like under Trick Room, which I agree. I just feel like this team just falls off on C tier. That Glalie with 80 base stacks, I don't know if it's as good. It might get some stuff with like Icy Wind and stuff like that, which might be good. I mean, Caracosta could bring what's this, like the same move that Blastoise gets?
Shell
to set
Smash.
up.
Shell Smash.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Yeah.
And that might be useful as well. Toxic Bex I just do not like. I feel like if he fixes his C tiers, he might have a good chance over here. It's just that Chansey Clefable, man. I just see those two and I'm like, I do not want to deal with that. Which I'm gonna have to deal with that eventually.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I deal with it first week, so.
Ooh, okay.
All right, yeah. And then overall, we did give a 6. I mean, Jake did give the highest score here, so
Yeah, I do feel that it's just it's going to be too much for someone to handle. There are teams that are going to really struggle against this. And the Glalie Moody as well can go either way. If he runs it Moody and he starts getting some crazy boosts,
That's true.
that Glalie can quickly end up +6.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's all luck as well, So I don't know.
That's all luck.
Yeah, that's the thing with
Yeah.
Moody, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 1 in 6 to get like at least one special attack boost or whatever he is. Is he attacker? I don't know.
He's mixed. I mean,
Yeah,
technically
mixed.
he's
Alright,
mixed.
there we
He's
go.
base
What do
80.
you mean, Phoenix? He's surprised I gave the highest score. I'm a nice person.
And Cherish, I did get your message. I don't know what it means. And here we go. Let's go to second, which is the one and only Josh, which actually, it looks like Pharaoh also scored him the same as I did.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys talk first, and then I'll go last, because I know most of the Pokemon over here, and I know this mechanic pretty well. So, yeah, just take it over, I guess.
I mean, I guess I'll start because I did give him the lowest score. And again, it's not, and I'll mainly blame that score on me because I know Josh is a player, but this team just confuses me a lot. And I'm just not too sure what it's actually trying to do. I mean, for some of the positives I've written down, he's got amazing speed control, really great redirection. He's got 3 taunt users. I'm telling you guys this right now. If you do not prep for this Stonejourner, you will lose. This Stonejourner is scary and broken if you don't prep for it.
That's
Ditto,
some secret tech right there for sure.
Ditto, headache. It's going to be a headache to go against. He's got, in my opinion, the best prankster user in Whimsicott. And then the last bullet for positives, it's Josh. Josh knows what he's doing. Josh knows how to run his team the way he wants to run it. And sometimes you might not see it the way Josh sees it, and sometimes Josh might change it up on you. He's got lots of options here. And then the negatives for me is just like nothing really stands out to me stat wise that's really good, but there's nothing bad either. Like everything is fine. He doesn't. Again, another thing I pointed out was the special attacking. His best special attacker is Indeedee Male, which to me, again, you kind of want you do want some special attack in there, and there's nothing that screams I'm going to hit you with a special move besides the Indeedee and maybe the Shiinotic down there. And then he's got 4 monsters that are weak to steel and flying. I just don't. I mean, those are 2 moves that are types that are abundantly available. Like a lot of mons are packing steel, a lot of mons are packing flying, and you just don't have a lot of answers to that. And then it's just me just kind of trying to wrap my head around what this team's trying to do. And there's some mons that I just don't know, like Araquanid. I just don't get. I just because I'm not familiar with Araquanid. I get Pillow Swine, Eviolate's great. Priority, definitely can go weakness policy, setting that up with that. So there's options there. I just, there's little things. I just don't see a real solid core here. And that's why I gave him a lower score than most.
I think that's fair. I think so. Originally, I said I don't know whether it should belong, and I said this to Seb, and he almost scoffed at me. I didn't know whether it should be in a Trick Room team or not because there's some particularly high speeds in there as well as the low speeds. Rethinking about it, like there's a solid Trick Room team here, and I do like that. That aside, like you mentioned the type weaknesses. At the same time, it's not like one type is gonna be a catch-all or anything here. Like there's a decent spread of type defenses, but I don't know. I think you mentioned the stats on the special attack. The physical attack isn't particularly great either. Like I feel like I don't want to say this team lacks power because I don't think it does, but I think it's difficult to use. It'd be hard to counter this team, but it's going to be hard to use as well, potentially. Josh does know what he's doing, though, and I think that's definitely a point in its favor.
Yeah, so this team... Oh, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead, Jake, yeah.
Sorry, Jake.
It's all right. I feel like everyone's covered what I was going to say anyway. Obviously, Seb knows what is going on here. I've done a little bit of prep for this team this morning with Jack. There are some holes in it. That Jack can exploit. But like you say, it lacks power, so I don't know how much he's going to rely on the Stonejourner. Whether he brings like a semi-rain team, the Stonejourner's not going to benefit from that really. It's going to come down to who he puts next to that Stonejourner and what that Stonejourner does. If you get it out of there pretty quickly, I can see the power level dropping quite quickly. But take it away, Seb. Tell us how he's actually going to use it.
So,
I'm going to make notes.
I've run almost this exactly same team. Whimsicott's great. It gives you speed control if you want to go fast, but it also, you guys are forgetting Prankster. Once he is into Trick Room, you just fake tears. You just do whatever you want under Trick. You don't have to attack with this Whimsicott. Although like Moonblast from a Whimsicott Pixie Plate does a lot of damage, so you guys better watch out from that. But its support, it's great, and people usually forget it gets Trick Room. Indeedee Male, this one does not get Follow Me, but it is a little bit more hard hitting than just regular Indeedee, and it also gets Trick Room. And then you've got the 2 main, Pokemon, either Marowak or Araquanid, for their Trick Room attackers. You guys are forgetting Water Tier or whatever it is that boosts the water type moves, and then its ability Water Bubble. That makes either physical Araquanid or special Araquanid to hit so hard that like sometimes you run Calcs with Araquanid. It's like, oh, this move is special effective with against my opponent. Oh, but my water move is still doing even more damage to it. So you guys gotta watch out for the Araquanid. Araquanid is one of those Pokemon that I would really watch out. Marowak is also great. Remember, it gets the bone or whatever it is. If you do take the bone out, it is a little bit iffy. That I've had that done by Jeremy one of the previous seasons. He just tricked away my bone, or knocked off my bone, and I got it was pretty much not as hard hitting anymore. It also gets get lightning rod, which also gives him a little bit coverage. I will be worried about the flying types and on Josh's team a little bit. But since it's not Dynamax, they're really good flying types, or like Fly, which is a 2-turn stuff. Unless you're bringing like Power Herb or things like that, you know, it is what it is. And then Hawlucha is just great synergy with terrain in general. It's also good support. It is not as hard hitting as you would think, unless you like weakness policy it or bring it as a life orb. He's got the redirection with Electabuzz. If he really needs to put in that Trick Room, you just lead Electabuzz and Diddy, and there's no way they could prevent your Trick Room at that point. And then you also Ditto is such a great option because it copies any of your opponent's Pokemon with boost. So if your opponent's heading up on you and then you just kill one of them on, he just brings Ditto, and you know, he's got the same boost as you. It could also bring Ditto with choice specs, so even does the more damage or stuff like that. It's good for scouting your opponent's moves. And then you guys mentioned the Stonjourner and the Shiinotic and the Pillow Swine. I would not bring, like, at least weakness-wise, I would not bring more than one of those. I feel like you kind of need to set your Trick Room in, bring your 2 attackers, and then one Pokemon that will do good on like non-Trick Room. Because if they stall your Trick Room out, then you might be in trouble with this team. But, you know, Josh is a really good mon. I know, like, one of his favorite mechanics, I think it's Trick Room, so you guys gotta watch out for this. I think this is great. He does have the lowest based out total, I believe, or one of the lowest at least. So we'll see how he handles this. I really like this team. These are like most of my favorite Pokemon in here. So
you can tell from that enthusiasm you got going on there, Seb.
Man, I went against this on one of my leagues, and then I chose it the next league, you know? So, yeah, I really like this team. I really enjoyed it. The Hawlucha is the one thing that I don't think, I mean, using it last season, it was useful. It's just, I think it lacks a little bit of hard-hitting stuff. It is really fast, although there is that, but...
It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the league.
It also gets Mold
don't
Breaker.
Forget, when you take Legends out, the speed tiers are not what you kind of think of them as.
Yeah,
Hitmonlee might be pretty good as well for this team. You're right, Phoenix. But yeah, I think this is great. I think Hawlucha also gets Wide Guard, maybe. So that's a good option for this league as well.
Probably.
I think Araquanid gets it as well. So there's no problem there. And Josh likes to put sometimes he just doesn't set terrain. He just uses Misty Terrain against you. So remember that. I'll never forget it. So yeah, let's go hop on the third team. I wonder what it is.
Ooh.
All right, I'm gonna shut up. And then I'll answer questions.
Jake, we've spoke first. Do you want to take this first one?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with this team. I feel like this is the best team in the league, by far. I've had to go up against the Dragonite before in Season 1. Absolute nightmare if you can't get rid of the multiscale. And before you've got rid of the multiscale, you've got to deal with a Cinderace or a Primarina next to it. You've got fantastic Intimidate from Hitmontop. The Technician as well is nothing to be like snarled at. Espeon with Synchronize, it's just there's so much synergy here. And then when you go down into the C and D tiers, it's like the Fletchinder for the Tailwind, Mime, Galar, probably the best Mime because I think that's the one that gets Eviolite.
Yep.
So,
and the Screen Cleaner, is it? It's got complete control over if you want to set up it, but he's also got complete control over speed as well. There's not many openings into this team that I can see on face value. There might be something that you guys know, but on face value, I can't see a good opening into this team.
There
to
isn't.
get a hit off.
There really isn't. I mean, I'll go on and take it from here because last season I used Primarina and Cinderace very faithfully, and what a 1-2 core, and then you have a Dragonite sitting there that in the back with a multi-scale. I mean, it's straight. Seb has flipped the switch and said, "I'm not playing reserve this season. I'm going straight power." And that's what this team is. It is power. He's got an amazing attack. He's got a great base stat total. In my opinion, I think Hitmontop is, in my opinion, the best utility mon in the draft. He's got amazing priority, really good redirection. He's got 5 mons that can use ally switch, which is insane. And then overall, I mean, the only real negative is he doesn't have besides he doesn't really have any item removal that I can see. I think there's one mon that gets switcheroo. He's got a -3 the ghost, and then he's got some mons, a lot of mons that can use Trick Room, but he does not have a lot of slow mons that benefit from it. And that's the only other real negative I see. But I mean, this team is going to be a pain to kill. It's going to be a pain to survive against. His top 5 picks are absolutely amazing. He's got great synergy down there at the bottom as well. And then honestly, the only mon I'm not the biggest fan of is Klinklang, and that's it. Because I mean, for me, Klinklang, you just kind of know what you're going to try to do with the Klinklang, and there's ways to work around it. But besides that, everything on his team is really good. It's really well balanced, and it definitely deserves the score it has right now.
Yeah. So this for me, I was going through them in order, got to this third, and initially I put it down as a 10 because I was like, I cannot see a downside to this team. I dropped it only a little bit to 9.5 just because there were a couple of other teams that I got to, which was like almost just as good. And I felt, grade it on a curve. But there's the type coverage is crazy. It's got 2 cores in the grass, water, fire, and dragon, fairy, steel. The only thing it's got a 3 times weakness to is ghost, which is not a common type to be coming across. It's got bulk, it's got speed, it's got power, and with that speed as well, while the speed's mostly okay, if there's ever any doubt, the priority tailwind from Fletchinder just covers that hole if it's ever there. This team for me is definitely one of, if not the best team in the league. I'm torn to say the best team, but it's definitely right up there for me. I'm just really glad that Seb is on the other side of the division, and this is a problem for playoffs because I guarantee you this team is going to make playoffs. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah, so I started building this team completely different. I was planning on having a good couple of Pokemon and then really good Pokemon under Trick Room. So that's why the Klinklang is there, because he was my second Trick Room setter after Mr. Mime. But then people just came over and started taking Pokemon, and all of a sudden, picking one Mon didn't make sense. So I had to build on the fly. I am actually really happy how it turned out, especially with my S tier, because Pharaoh and I were just the only ones left to pick, and I was just looking if I need power or if I need something hard hitting, and then Jake started speaking about picking the demon, which is Ferrothorn, by the way, and no one picked it, and I was like, I do not have a really good fire type. And then I just start looking in S tier. It's like, okay, there's Cinderace. And I'm like, but I want to pick my other Mons as well. And then you go to, I go to Pharaoh's team because he was the only one left. It's like, oh, but Cinderace also, it would work really good in his team. So I was like,
Cinderace fits every team because of Libero.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. Fair enough. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take it now before. And apparently, I also took your Espeon as well from you. So.
Yeah, the Espeon was kind of a big blow. It was pretty much my first backup Beamon. And you took that right before I was about to pick it. That was that one hurt. That one hurt.
Yeah, I needed another special attacker specifically, and there was no other that fit my team at that point. Like that didn't give me another like ground weakness or something like that. So Espeon was like the only one there. Thankfully I got it. And the Hitmontop was like really good support as well. So I'm pretty happy. I wish I had Purloin, but I needed just in case that extra speed. I don't think I'll be bringing Fletchender as much. Oh well, you never know, but
it's an option for you if you're ever looking against something and you just see like, you know what, I just don't have the speed, which is going to be rare. But if you do ever find yourself in that spot, it's like, okay, I bring 5 plus Fletchender, and that's still a good team.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really happy how it turned out, and we'll see. If I would, I actually don't know what I would change yet. I was thinking about changing the Gore guys, but then after prepping for week 1, I really like it. So, you know, we'll see how the team goes. You know, it all goes by practice. So, if we need to change anything, we'll see. So
I just don't want people to think there's favoritism going on here. Like this one scored high because this is genuinely good. And if you think otherwise, I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some other power rankings maybe at the end, after all the trades have been picked, and see how they change.
Oh yeah.
So
trades are going to be crucial for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think Scott in the chat. Scott,
week 1 and 2.
Week
1 and 2, I think we're going to see a couple of trades. Or that's on my prediction at least. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And hey,
no,
Scott.
we definitely will. Hello.
And now we've got another newcomer with the Cal Scizors. And yeah, this is a weird one for me. It's just he clearly wants to go Trick Room with, you know, Escavalier, Gastrodon, and the female is great redirector. But I think he's gonna find the same problem I had last season. With all that dark and ghost weakness, it's a problem. And I thought it wasn't gonna be a problem. I thought I was gonna be able to handle it, and I couldn't. Maybe he can. I just think it's kind of odd. The Gastrodon in paper looks good, but you know, it's just 4 times weakness to grass is just annoying. But yeah, what do you guys have to say for this team?
It's just I can't put my finger on it. It's missing just something in there that I'm not sure of. Like if you take the Gastrodon out, I feel like you could get a proper hard hitter in there. Like I'm not saying the Dimanitan isn't a hard hitter, but like, to me, it's the Gastro just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. But I mean, yeah, it's a Trick Room team.
Yeah, like look at those speeds, like super slow.
The Salazzle, I'm not quite sure what he's going for with.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that. Actually, Salazzle, switching out that Salazzle for another good Pokemon in Trick Room, and then just get that Gastrodon out. And you need something hard hitting that's also good, not in Trick Room. Phoenix makes a good point. Conkeldurr is really nice under Trick Room.
Yeah,
Conkeldurr here would be great. Yeah. Something else I'm not a fan of is the D tiers.
Yeah, no, the D tiers are not great. I was looking at Phalanx a little bit because I wanted something that could do some fighting. Maybe he was just doing it for some type coverage. But I mean, like everyone has said, it screams Trick Room. And this is what I'm gonna make this point to say. Just because it's super obvious that you have it does not mean that's a bad thing, because if you know how to use it and you know that your opponent cannot stop it, you'll be fine. But the issue is when it screams Trick Room, you need to remember that there are people that are going to find ways to work around it. And if you don't get your Trick Room set up and you have a lot of mons that need Trick Room to work, like your Avalugg, your Trevenant, and Escavalier, like those mons are going to need Trick Room. And then you have then you have Darmanitan that isn't the fastest of mons, but definitely does not benefit from Trick Room, because if it does go into its Zen mode, it's super fast. So it's just a lot. You have some clashing issues with Trick Room and some mons there. And then it's just you do have a lot of negative. You have negatives to dark, fire, and flying, which are very at least flying and dark is going to be a very prevalent type. And the draft league, you're going to see a lot of mons like that. And it's you got good taunt users, you have pretty good priority, you have good redirection. I mean, you have NDD female, which is the best redirector in the league, which is nothing to snuff at. So you've got that covered there. You're going to be able to set up your trick room on a lot of teams. It's just that there's going to be a few teams that when they see your team, they're going to know what mon's going to set up your trick room or what mons can't, and they're going to find a way to stop it and prevent it. And if they can't, it'll be fine. And if they're not, you might have a little struggles here. So you might want to take a look at some of your team and either fully commit to trick room and get some of those mons out of there, like the Salazzle, or go into it and maybe swap out some mons so you don't necessarily have to run trick room every week.
I would say like switching a good switch for that Gastrodon will be Conkeldurr or Rhyperior. Those are good. And as Scottica says, yeah, low tier picks were hard. Prioritizing that was also in my mind. D tiers, that's why we moved it from 3 from last season to 2, because it was too hard to pick. It was too hard to pick between D tiers, and most of them, the really good ones, are gone. Although no one picked Tangela.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I was so surprised. It was like, that's a B tier. It was in B tier last season. We just put it there because we needed another redirector in D tier, but it should be in B. And now no one picked it up. I was so surprised.
That's a hint, guys. That's a hint. Go get Tangela, guys.
You've got to put goggles on something. You have to put goggles on something.
I have to say,
no other option.
It's true. But I have to say, with this team, I like it a little bit more than you guys do. Okay, now pretty much everything that can be said about it has been said. It's a trick room team. We get that, right? But I feel like they clearly prioritized that Oranguru with the second pick. Indeed, female first, Oranguru second. Like this coach knew what they were doing. All right, but
I think he also got sniped a couple times, right? So
yeah,
maybe
for sure.
that
Like,
took it.
Everyone got sniped. But I feel like this team will definitely set up the trick room, like unquestionably. You say you need to be able to get it off. I think there's no question that it's going to get off. But some of these mons have some real power to bring, particularly in trick room. That Escavalier, like I know the 4 times weakness to fire, right? But it is an absolute house to deal with.
Oh yeah.
The Avalog dies to like any fire special move or any special move. Doesn't even need to be super effective, but the like a body press off that thing is ridiculous. You know, the one mon for me out of all of this,
insane.
It really is.
184.
Gates mentioned the Gastrodon. Luke, you touched on the Darmaniton. That's the one for me that stands out as I don't like it. The Darmaniton is the big hole that I feel like could be doing with switched out. But I think this team, everyone knows it's going to be trick room, but I think they're going to be surprised by how much power it can actually bring to the table.
Yeah, like we've all said, the trick room, if you get it off, you're set. You're set, dude. It's just a question of you getting off and what your opponent is going to have to deal with. And I'll just circle back to the Darmanitan. I used Darmanitan last season. It was great. But every week I ran it jolly because I needed it to be faster than everything else so it could hit the mons. And that's why it just doesn't fit in my mind with this team. And it's just a thing where, you might, when you're looking at your free agent pools that you can pick or some team trades, you might want to look at someone who's running Tailwind a lot, or you might want to look at someone, or might want to drop it for another solid A tier that works well on Trick Room. You have options here, and your team is a few mons away from being really solid. Like, there's just a few things that you can tweak here, and you'll be solid. So trust me, don't let just us saying that Trick Room is Trick Room and people can break it and whatnot. Don't let that dissuade you, because Trick Room is really good, and still to this day, tons of people have a hard time dealing with Trick Room.
Yeah, it's a
Trick Room is really hard.
Myself included. Yeah, Trick Room, and it's tricky, man. That's why it's called Trick Room.
But I actually like the Darm. Like, just having a Scarf Darm in the back right after your Trick Room is gone, that thing is going to do some damage. So I
Yeah,
feel like
okay.
that's
That's
a good thing to just keep in
Okay.
your team. If you switch for like Tailwind users or like just get another hard hitting mon that's good outside Trick Room and switch that Gastrodon for something that's a little better
Mhm.
under Trick Room, I think this is good because you don't really
Yeah.
need. I mean, the Gastrodon is nice, but you don't really are taking advantage of Storm Drain or need Storm Drain. So,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. I think that's Gastrodon's one of Gastrodon's best like abilities. You know. So hey, K Mega, how's it going?
Yo, what's up,
Yeah,
Kay?
long way to go before we get to yours.
Yeah. Well, let's go on hop again. Team 5 with this Joel and the Slowpokes.
Ooh.
Which he clearly went with the Pokemon he liked and he's used
Yeah.
before in other leagues. I know him from previous leagues. He's really good. He loves that Corsola, man. He loves that Corsola and he knows how to use it. Same with the
First
Pelipper, the
pick.
Kingdra, and the Porygon Z. Which,
Mhm.
in my opinion, doesn't deserve the S tier spot this season. Just because it was really good with Dynamax, but now I think it's like a little bit meh. But he's used it before and really effectively, so I kind of like his team. I did give him a 6.5 because there's just you know, a couple holes weakness wise that I think are too prevalent right now.
Yeah.
So that's mainly
Completely
why.
agree. Yeah,
But I think he did a good
completely
job
agree.
choosing you know, the Manectric with the Lightning Rod user. We know what Tyrantrum can do. The Kingdra, you know, Swift Swim and stuff like that. So I think it's got good synergy. Apart from the S tier, I just don't know what he's gonna do again with the Porygon Z, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. I I agree with everything you said. I however do disagree with Porygon Z. I think Porygon Z's in the right hands, like you said, is
Hmm?
really, really powerful. And if you're saying he's got experience using Porygon Z, I mean, this guy, it's amazing when used correctly. I mean, he's got a really good ranking going on. His average base stat total is almost near
It's
500.
really
It's like
good.
496. So it's really good. I mean, he's very defensive. Very special. He's very defensive. Great. That's always good in my eyes. Um, Galarian Corsola, I have it here. Screw Galarian Corsola, because I don't like it. I hate it. I do not like it a lot.
It's really
But
annoying.
it's really annoying to deal with, and the fact that he knows how to use it is going to be very annoying. And I don't want him on my side of the league because I don't like having to deal with it. But besides that, I mean, yeah, like you said, the -3 to Dragon and the -2 to Fairy, there's just so many Dragons and Fairy types running around in this league that's a really big hole to have on your team. And then I mean, the -1s are a big deal. You know, there is a lot of red on there, which it just doesn't look the nicest. But you know, it's you have answers for those. The only mod that I'm questioning, and maybe you guys can fix it for me, or explain it to me, is I just don't get the Komo. I just don't.
Okay,
Um,
right.
I
That
just don't.
Komoro was on my list of
Okay.
very, very likely mons to pick.
Okay.
It wasn't quite a snipe because by that point I'd changed. But anyway, if you look at the base stats on that Komoro, for a B tier pick, it's insane.
Mhm.
Right? Like if you just want pure stats, something which isn't AOS, I don't think you can do better than Komoro. It might even be the highest base stat total in that tier. It's no joke. It's got great defenses. I mean, we're looking at the stats here now, right? Great defenses and great offense, and it's not a slouch in the speed department either. It doesn't have all the moves in the world, but it's got good enough coverage. Yeah, it's not going to be doing a lot of support, but for support, that's what you've got a Meowstick for, right? That Meowstick, there's a lot of eggs in a Meowstick shaped basket in my mind. But for support, it's going to do all the heavy lifting there. So the Komoro, I really like it. I think it lifts up the team and like brings those base averages up significantly. And I think the whole rest of the team, you've got a good spread of power between like physical and special attack, which makes it difficult to sort of decide how you're going to come up against it. The type defenses is probably the biggest issue, like you guys have already mentioned. But no, Komoro, love it. Absolutely love
Look
it.
at those
Favorite mon on the team,
defenses
possibly.
though. It's insane.
Yeah.
Those
Mhm.
defenses are crazy. But yeah, this is good. Let's continue. Anything else? I think that's it, right? I also
Yeah, it
just
pretty much
realized
covers it.
the tiers in the draft order are wrong, guys. I don't know what happened. They were right a second ago,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I must have done something. We are
We
gonna have a
checked them
break, so we'll
before.
fix them in the
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. The order is the correct order. It's just the tiers that are wrong. Just in case
Yeah.
those were wondering, Meowstick is not an S tier. The ones
Yeah,
at
no,
the
it's
at the right, at the left, sorry, are correct. It's just the
Yeah.
right draft tiers are wrong. Just for those who's wondering.
No.
Oh,
Good eye.
sorry.
I didn't spot that.
Yeah. And all right, then it's my
All right.
week 1 match. This is what it is, and I gotta get revenge for Pharaoh and Jake over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the fire
Crystal.
Um,
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, I suppose I
Pharaoh
kinda-
gave the highest score here, so I need to know
I
why.
would actually say, Jake, you didn't even mention the last one because obviously you opted out for a second. You gave the lowest. I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, so you instantly lose a point for sniping my Hydreigon when I told you not to. I mean, other than that, there are a couple of times 4s here, but the resistance chart is kind of nuts. The only reason why I've given it a 7.5 is because I feel like there's a bit too much shenanigans going on here, and it's quite what's the word? Like, it needs to be in specific situations. Hydreigon has to have the team built around it, and I don't think this team is built around it.
I agree.
Without that support, Hydreigon can get melted real quick. Metagross, I think, is a really good plug with Hydreigon. Putting them together, it's like you can almost cover the typings. But again, Pikachu, we can't see Chonkachu this season. I'm devastated. So Chonkachu has had a hefty nerf. The Walrein is, in paper, a really good D tier pick, but I don't think I saw it once. I don't think it got brought once last season. We might see it this season. In fact, no, it did get brought. And I don't think it did much. The Shedinja is, in the right hands, absolutely lethal. And obviously, every mon has to have a special move on it now when you bring the Shedinja, because if you don't, you could be trapped.
Yeah.
But there is some specific holes here where you can sort of identify them. So those 2x4s to Fairy, you've got a ×4 on the Talonflame to Rock. But I mean, it's a super good team. It's a super good team. I didn't realize it's the abilities that make this team.
Yeah.
But the other guys will have more notes on this.
So I really like the synergy a little bit in this team. I mean, Talonflame is a no-brainer with Gale Wings.
Yeah.
So like that's instant, like really good. If you don't have a fake out user to get rid of that Talonflame, or to get rid of the Gale Wings at least, she's gonna have like speed control almost automatically. It does get taunt as well, I believe, and some support moves that are pretty good. Metagross Shedinja, watch out. Weakness policy Metagross is a thing. She also has the Bulldoze with Nidoqueen. But I don't know if she will bring it with Nidoqueen. Maybe she will. I think it'll hit it too hard. But you never know. A Lycanrot midday. Priority rock type move. Great for this league. If you guys don't have a hard hitting rock type move, you guys are missing out, because pretty much every team is weak to rock.
Yeah, that's true.
Scrafty, great support. It's just with Intimidate. I don't know much about Aromatisse. I think she just picked the Pikachu because she loved it last season. That's the only reason.
She loved it,
yeah. I mean, it does get, Electrowebs, and it's pretty fast still.
Yeah.
It gets fake out.
If
follow
you can
me.
get it gets follow me. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
That's the
sash
thing.
it, I guess, and it lives at least one hit. I think she did it more for the memes. Yeah, she did it more for the memes. Oh, another thing to point out, and the reason I didn't give it a higher score, is because Hydreigon it's the only hard-hitting special attacker, and it just dies
Yeah.
So I think you need, like Jake said, really good pairings with Hydreigon. I don't see it here. And I think it could be dealt with pretty easy. So that's why I just didn't score it higher. I mean, the weakness to Fairy, it's pretty significant, especially with the Crafty, but you know, we'll see. You don't really need a 4 times weakness to get rid of Hydreigon. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, me and Seb pretty much have the same thing written down. I would like to point out, I think she has the best type matchup in the entire league. Her bottom looks beautiful. All that green.
She also got
little.
Oops, sorry, 17 types.
Go ahead. Yeah. Oh yeah. Best. So it's like no question. That's a main reason why she got a lot of points on my end, because that type matchup is beautiful. She's got really good priority. She's got great speed tiers, great taunt users. That Talon meta and Scrafty, I think, are three great mons that you need to keep your eyes out for. The only thing I really have to say is, again, which has already been talked, I'm a little iffy on the Aromatisse. I'm not too sure what you're trying to do with that, just because I'm not familiar with it, but I also just don't see anything that sticks out to me about it. Shedinja and Pika are very situational, but you'll know how to use them. And then Hydreigon, so here's a funny story about Hydreigon. I don't want to, for people who don't know a little bit of the history of VGC. Hydreigon was the best mon until they introduced the fairy type. That's how strong Hydreigon was. And it is literally the death of Hydreigon was the second they introduced fairy types. And there's a reason for it. It just dies. And the fact that it's your best special attacker, and a Sweet Kiss, even though is not even gonna do it, but like the weakest fairy move is gonna do terrible things to this poor dragon. It's very sad. But it's still a great team. I mean, the team synergy here is really good. This type coverage, you've got answers for everyone's team with this type matchup you have going. You have answers for it, and your team is no laughing team at all. Like there's prep is going to have to be made for this team. And once again, I don't know why we have all these crazy good teams on our side of the division. I do not like it, but it's going to be your team's really good, and definitely great job drafting it.
For me, like when I was looking down this, I looked at it and immediately was blown away by the sheer amount of potential power that's there. Now, I know you guys have mentioned it's not really special, it's mostly physical, but I don't know if that even matters. Metagross can be special. Like, I know that the stats are weighted towards physical, but it's still got a really high special attack stat. And then if you go down to Aromatisse, 99 is good, right? I think Phoenix has even mentioned it in the chat to say that it's pretty much immune to Trick Room because it's so slow. There's so much power here that it has the potential, particularly with that Talonflame and Tailwind, to just like go in and immediately start sweeping through things. The Shedinja means that it's really, really difficult to be able to run all those different coverage moves that might be great in some scenarios. Yeah, you want to run Fairy, but Fairy doesn't do anything against Shedinja. And if you end up with a mon that can't kill Shedinja, it doesn't matter. It can be 1 versus 3, but if you can't kill it, you can't kill it. And that Shedinja makes it really awkward to be able to bring everything that you want to bring against it. There's also no major like type switch it's weak to. You could argue ground, but again, that Shedinja like covers that a little bit. For me, I just feel like this is a team that is going to be starting off on the front foot. You are on the back foot when you go into the battleground against this, and that's why I rated it as highly as I did.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, 8.13, it's not bad. So
no,
Great.
no,
That's
that's no
it's
joke.
really good.
It would have
amazing.
been higher, but obviously I deducted a point. So it would have been an 8.5.
all right. And then we got the one and only, the I don't know what to call this team. What do I call this team? Like the special attacking monster? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look
you're
at
not running
this.
your namesake, though, are you?
No.
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 I mean, just look at this. Like Volcarona, great. I just see Sylveon, great. Gudra, one of my favorite dragon types. You know, the one that I really don't like is just Swampert. But I know it fits the role in the team. Kangaskhan is just a pure power. Pure power. A fake out from that thing just gonna take like half your health. It's ridiculous. We all know the Charjabug, you know, the good old battery. But yeah, I mean, I really like this team. I just think you're relying too much on that Charjabug, man. Just the
The counts. Most of the time, I don't even need the bug. The bug isn't actually there for battery. It's there for speed control. That is the main purpose of that bug. But
There you
we'll
go,
see what
guys.
we-
You've heard it here first.
You've heard it here first. The bug
That's
is
what you
there
wanna
for
watch
speed
out for.
You're gonna
control.
prove me wrong. You're just gonna prove me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake's team is really good, man. Like I was
Mhm.
struggling really, really hard trying to find negatives with it. But I mean, his typing. He covers everything pretty much. I mean, you might not be as high as on Swampert. I really like Swampert. I mean, his first 5 picks, his core S, A, and B tiers are amazing. He's got the fastest tailwind setter in the league. Well, one of the fastest tailwind setters in the league with
Mhm.
Aerodactyl right there. You know, and Volcarona can set it up too if he wants it to. You know, my only really issue is he's got really high attack, but a lot of his mods don't even worry about Intimidate, which is really, really good. The special attack is a little is not lacking at all. It's really good. His special defense, like he's got everything pretty much covered. His team does just kind of need Tailwind to do well, which again is not bad because he's got one of the best Tailwind setters in the league to do it. So he's going to be able to get it off. The only thing is, I wish he had more fake out. Just because I feel like in this league, you don't want your opponent just to be like, that's a fake out user. And that's the only one you have to worry about. Like, you need to worry, and we'll get to one team in particular, which I will dive into why I think it's the best team in a little bit. But I feel like you need a fake out person. And I mean, me personally, I'm only one to talk about having to rely on a certain gimmick to work. But you know, needing the tailwind is going to be prevalent for some of these mons here. But I mean, it's still a great team. I don't know what it is. It's just some of your lower tier picks. Like I get the Charger Bug. I don't necessarily. Maybe you can explain your picks on the Spiritomb and then the Pinsir a little bit. I mean, I get why Pinsir's there now, but at the time I didn't quite get it. But it's really a really solid team from the champ, and it's definitely he's definitely not going to have to do as much fixing his team around as he had to do near the end of last season to make his team the championship team it is. But
Big
Nick,
lessons learned. Big lessons learned. I think.
take it away. Tell us why you gave this man a lovely 9.5.
I love this team. Okay, right. You have the top 3 mons, S, A, and A are like they're so specially offensive, which is such a problem for certain teams to deal with. If you don't have the right special defense stat, this thing is going to absolutely walk all through it. And I know Jake has said that Chargerbug isn't there for battery, but you can be damn well sure that if that's what it takes, he will use it. Right? That battery is no joke. That's a free boost.
Look at that smile on his face. He knows.
Right? He knows damn well that is not there for
the
speed
amount
control.
the amount of times last season where you just need that extra, you just need that extra
bit.
pinch,
Little
just
bit.
that little bit, and it squeezes it over the edge, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Should it grab Weezing? Yeah, the Weezings are still there, man. I don't know why they're still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna
you
grab
mentioned fake
Weezings.
out. Like this team has the best fake out user because I don't think, or there's very few that have Scrappy. right? And
No,
you could
yeah.
argue that some of
Yeah.
them have like Intimidate instead, which is maybe better. But Scrappy is great because being able to hit the ghost types is amazing. There's just so much here I love about this team. You know, the double Follow Me and Rage Powder from Volcarona, because Volcarona can be both offensive and supportive. There's just a lot here to work with. You know, you do not know how this team is being brought each week to week.
No.
Not at all.
And
There's
and it's Jake as well. But just by the way, guys, I'm going to let you know right now. There's a few people in this league that I like to have their name with their strats. It's called Jake strats. Like, you don't know what's going on in this man's head, so be prepared for something crazy every week. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh,
Sir. I had
no,
to throw
no,
that out there because
no,
you
that
might
pretty
think
much is it. Like,
you might think he's running something, but Jake will find a way to run something you were not expecting.
he'll bring the weird stuff for sure. He's not afraid to go outside of the box. He sees the box and then just aims in the other direction for it.
No,
But yeah,
just
I love it.
overall on my team, yeah. I did get sniped. Well, there was a gentleman's agreement with Luke, so I knew that it would go before. So I had planned. I wanted the Noivern in this team. The Noivern in this team would have probably cemented it. A little less speed on the tailwind, but the frisk was kind of necessary in this part. The pincer, it's good. It's really good. It can hit like a truck. Who runs Nasty Plot Grimstyle? Me. But yeah, the speed tierings are a bit all over the place. I'd have liked more plus 100s, but it is what it is. 90s aren't bad. 90s aren't bad. I think Rotom was like 8. What's a Rotom, like 85 or
86.
something?
85.
It's 84 or 86. It's one either side of 84. I can't remember
And
which.
the Rotom last season was fine. It's when you start dipping into that 70-80 bracket that it's a bit of a problem. So I think 95, 90 is still okay.
Yeah, it's good.
And I mean, the slower mons can take a hit. They're all chunky as hell. The Spiritomb is just there for pure shenanigans. I didn't really know what to pick, and I was like, right, it's got one weakness, and it's got really good utility. If you don't prep for it, then you're gonna get run over by it. That's just the way it is. It's got such good utility, and the Phantom Force that it gets. Good luck protecting, because that breaks your protect.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'll remember this one.
But no, overall, I'm about 90% happy with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And who's next? Oh, Brandon.
Right,
Oh, good old Brandon.
guys.
One more.
From
Wait,
one of
what'd you
my
say, Jake?
favorite.
We could do this one, and then I need to hop out.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
good.
this will be halfway. That'd be a good
Perfect.
point.
All right.
We're going from one of my favorites
Yeah.
to I think what we all agree might be.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but the worst team in the league. Like that's mean words to use, but tell me I'm wrong, someone.
Yeah. I did not like anything about this team apart from Dragozolt and Gigalith.
Yep.
I think that's the only synergy he's got there. I guess you could argue Porygon Z with Gigalith. It's just weird, man. It's just there's no cohesion. It's just like, look at those weak, but you just bring ground and fighting and you counter his whole team.
Yeah, I wasn't given much leeway. And I hadn't run his original teams through the calculators. The one thing I have to say for Brandon is, obviously, this is a perfect example of why you should be present at the draft. He only gave me 2 choices for each pick, and he did get sniped at least 8 or 9 times. So
Which is huge. That's nearly a whole team.
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
This is like, it's kind of bad for Brandon. He does have the opportunities to change 3 mons, but
I mean he's got
week trade is not really beneficial unless you're going to make playoffs.
So I think that individually these mons are good, right? There's
Yeah.
no reason why he's not able to go to other teams and say, "Hey, I need this mon. Like, I can offer you this," and people will be happy to take some of those mons because they may fit their teams. I think the problem here is the lack of overall synergy. Short of like the Gigalith and Drakazult combo with the Sandstream and that, there's nothing really gelling here. And yeah, this is prime example of why you do want to be there to draft and what happens if you don't. Credit to him, he's got work,
Yeah.
and you can't fault someone. Life happens at the end of the day. But yeah, this is going to be rough for him to work with, at least in the beginning, before he can get some trades in.
I will say on some of the positive sides for what he has right now, he has good redirection. He's got decent speed control. Well, he's got decent speed control. His team's got he's got really solid base stats totals other than speed, and that Zolt and Gigalith, man, is nothing to laugh at. Like, keep those two and work around it. I mean, the team needs Trick Room. This team desperately needs Trick Room. Again, we've already talked about the weaknesses. Blissey and Cragnall are some of the mons I'm just not like. If you're gonna swap out any mons, like you might want to save that D tier because you probably won't bring it that often. But Blissey is one mon that I'm just not a big fan of, and he doesn't really have any fake out. He has no fake out users, which is a big issue in this format. But I will say one thing: Brandon is a really good battler, and Brandon does a lot of out of the box stuff that will work in his favor. And if there's anyone that can make a team like this work for a couple of weeks, it's gonna be Brandon. So it's definitely not the best. It's not a great team, but with the right person behind it and a few trades, Brandon can definitely turn this thing around.
I mean, the good thing for Brandon is if you just take the top 6 and you cut off the bottom, those weaknesses change drastically. Drastically. So I wouldn't get blindsided by the fact he's got a -5. Given that if you cut off the Deblade and the Flareon, it's only like a -3 maybe. It's a lot of his weaknesses are coming from his D tiers. So I mean, just running the top 5 Pokemon, that's not a bad team. Porygon 2, Drakazult, Gigalith. I mean, I don't think the Gigalith fits, in my opinion. I know it's there for the Zolt, but maybe.
I think if he can get one of those C or D tiers swapped out for something with fake out and something with Trick Room, then this has the potential to be really quite dangerous. Maybe change something to give a bit more type defense coverage as well. But that's three trades. That's perfectly doable. And if anyone's watching and they're thinking like, oh, you know what? Actually, I could do with a little bit of trading and stuff like that. If you have something which could help this team, by all means, like reach out. Like, for the record, reach out to everyone. Right? Do not be afraid to ask to make trades and stuff like that. Don't ask, don't get. Those trades are going to go from week to week.
And remember, you can't trade any week. So there's specific times you got to trade. So take that into account as well.
One per week, right, Seb?
Yeah, 1 per week, and only between teams during active weeks, and then rest weeks you could do free trades, or like free agent trades. But yeah, I think we're gonna call in 10-minute break right now.
Yep.
Sounds
And
good.
we'll be back with you guys. So don't go anywhere. We're halfway there. So don't go anywhere. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
I knew it was coming. Leave it. I won't do it.
We are back. Hello, everyone. Did you guys miss this?
Hello.
We're reviewing the one and only Lepton Litwicks and Jack.
Hey,
Jack. Yep.
Love it.
What do you guys think about this team?
Let's see here. I'll go since I gave him the highest score.
Okay.
So I will say on preface, I love Jack as a battler, and when we battle, it's always fun and entertaining and always comes down to the wire. A lot of good things about this team that I really liked. Again, the base stat, like overall, like his team's base stat totals are really good. Tailwind plus Dracovish is a freaking power move. Umbreon in the right hands is the most annoying Pokemon you'll ever go up against, and I know Jack, and he's gonna make that Umbreon your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Great speed control, and then Aegislash is great with a good battler, and Jack's a great battler, so Aegislash is gonna be one heck of a Pokemon to deal with for sure. Negatives again, no fake out. That's for me, when you don't have fake out, it's not great. He's got 4 -2s with Fairy, Fire, Ice, and Poison, which are all prevalent types. He has answers for some of those, but I just don't like seeing, it with a lot of prevalent moves, especially with Fairy and Fire. There's a lot of Fairy and Fire running around this season. And then even though I was looking at Luxray as well, I'm not the biggest fan of Luxray for Intimidate because I don't think Luxray is that great of a competitive Pokemon. It's more support. Its only physical electric type move is Wild Charge. It's great for Intimidate, but it also dies a lot to ground, which is, a weakness that is very prevalent. Once again, ground is a very prevalent weakness. I'm just not the biggest fan of Luxray, which is why I docked a little bit because I just think it's better to intimidate users out. But maybe during the draft he didn't see one, or he was sold on Luxray for some reason. Which we'll find out. But Jack is a great battler, and I think this is Jack handling it, it's really good, which got it got bumped up a little bit for me. Anyone else that was handling it, definitely maybe not the best team, but this team needs experience. It needs great battlers and a great battler to lead it, and Jack's great. I will also point out there, which I don't think a lot of people hit on, Duosion.
Oh,
look at that
look at
special attack of 125. Give that thing an Eviolite. It's surviving. It's basically a Reuniclus without wasting a Reuniclus. I think it's better than Reuniclus, actually.
It might be, actually.
This is insane. Like, this is he pretty much got a B tier power Pokemon and his D tier. So look out for that Duosion on the other side of the league, guys. But, I rest my case. That's why I give him an 8.8. It's just it's a really good team, and in Jack's hand, it's going to do some serious damage. He was the front runner of our side of the league last season for the majority of the league, the week and season. So it's just great team.
Yeah,
you guys take it away.
I feel like Dracovish Cottony. Watch out, man.
Yep.
Oh, even Dracovish with Quick Claw. Watch out. That Fish's Rend hits so hard, like really, really hard. And then I get Comfey Haxor's great combination. Like he could bring like his top 3 mons and then Cottony, and it's over. The only thing is that I don't like Haxorus as a dragon type as much. It is quite weak defensive wise compared to his other friends. But that 147 is still hard. Weakness policy with priority Comfey. It's gonna be
Tailwind. Yeah.
And Comfey also gets Trick Room if he wants to go to Trick Room. I don't think he's gonna be running too much Trick Room. The Luxray with Guts might do decent damage. It's just the variety of moves. There's not much. I also see it more as a support mon, as well. And you could see like his draft order was perfect. Like he picked Dracovish. He had a clear understanding that he wanted to go Cottony at some point, which I fixed. I don't know what's going on with the tiers. I just fixed them.
Gone wrong again.
I just fixed them. It's ridiculous. Okay. I don't know what's going on. It's whatever.
The tiers are correct on the left, guys. On the right,
on the left,
the pick order is correct, but don't ask why.
It's probably I just moved something. Probably that's. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he clearly knows what he gonna do. Aegislash, you need to know how to use that thing, or else it's just gonna be annoying. Like for you, not for your opponent. I like Lurantis, especially if there's sun up.
Yeah.
Hey Joshy, we're like halfway there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Duosion, I had no idea it had 125 special attack. That's pretty broken, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I I mean, to be honest, my main point is exactly what you guys have said, which is that this team, I think, would be really, really hard to use if you don't know what you're doing. We all know damn well that Jack does know what he's doing. And because of that, I think this team has some real potential. For me, if anything, like, I like the team, and it's got some big power going on there, which is why it scored as high as it did. But like, I feel there's some type, there's some holes for types offensively that are just completely missing. And I think that could potentially be difficult for him to find week to week, say if he comes up against the wrong team that he just doesn't have the right counter for. And he's also missing, like, there's no follow me user, there's very little redirection here, which can be a big deal. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I mean, I think he'll
I
do
don't
good
love it.
regardless.
I think Jack will use it well, but I don't know. It doesn't quite hit all the right notes for me personally, but it's still a decent score because I know it has the potential.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just can he squeeze that potential out? That's the question.
He definitely can. For sure.
All right. Who is next? Is it our friend? Oh, my favorite team. This is my favorite team in the whole draft. I just think it's so good. I mean, granted, I didn't give it a 10 because of all the 4-time weaknesses. But I love this thing. Like Charizard Ninetales, no matter what, it's gonna be a threat. You know, it's like a no-brainer. Charizard Ninetales, Solar Power, Life Orb is just gonna wreck. I love it. The you know, against water types, well, the sun's gonna be up. It's not gonna do too much damage. Well, if the rain goes up, then you might have a problem. But you did something really smart. I think that War Turtle and that Kabutops, just to allow for like a pivot into rain, amazing. I loved it. I love Crocodile as a Pokemon. It gets Scary Face, Intimidate. I've never ran it Moxie. I've just run Scarf Crocodile in the past, and I loved it. I think Sableye with Quash is also great. It also gets the 2 rain dances if you really want to set Rain Dance or Fire like that. Noivern is great Tailwind setter. We also got Frisk to get that you know, information out of your opponent, and it also gives you a big Draco meter that's kind of nice to have as well. I just love this. I love everything about this team. You know, the 4 times weaknesses are tough, are really tough. But I just really love it. Like you got, well, I mean, you got really good attackers, you got really good special attackers. I've gone against Glaceon, and that thing is annoying as well. It also gives you answers to dragon types, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I just love everything about this.
So for me, I mean, you love it, Seb. We get it. To be fair, I do really like this team, and I think that with the right setup, this team is going to be able to just sweep and sweep and sweep, right? It helps that I like it because there's some of my favorite mons. Just full stop. Like, forget about how competitive they are. Like, I'm instantly favoriting them towards it because of that. Executor, I love. Right? I'm not. But yeah, it's in the sun, as you've said. It's going to be good. But then that potential shoring up the defense against rain, great. I know Seb's touched on this, but it's one of the biggest points to this. The Noivern being one of the fastest mons with Tailwind is huge. You know, I think with that you don't even necessarily need the sun to like raise the stats because you've got the speed raise anyway. But yeah, there's no major type holes as well. I know you mentioned the 4 times weaknesses, and you're right, but most of them are all countered with some sort of big defense against them as well. Like Ice has got a 4 times weakness and 2 normal weaknesses, and yet it's still like overall a resistance of 2. You know, you can't just go, oh, okay, ice, great, that'll do the job, because you're not going to do anything with it. Like, in the sun as well, that Charizard is going to melt any ice type you bring against it instantly. The Rock is the only one, but to be fair, if you look over the whole league, this is something from every single team. Rock is a huge issue. If you have some good power on a rock type or a mon that can use a decent rock type move, you're in good stead.
Yeah.
But other than the rock, there's
Yep.
no
Something.
real defense
Yeah.
issues here.
To point out, what I struggled against the Glaceon before is its defense. It's pretty big. I remember being like, oh, it's a Glaceon, whatever. I'll deal with it. I had some struggles in the past with some Glaceon, so I really like this. I really like the pick. I just really like this whole team. The War Turtle fake out, follow me. That was a huge big brain. I was not expecting freaking War Turtle in the end. That was really good.
Yeah, and Eviolite will make those defenses big.
Yeah, I love this. I just love this team. Yeah, I just don't know what to say. Well, how do you feel about it, Luke?
I'm in love with it, man. As everyone knows, I was like so worried that I was not going to get my Ninetales Charizard core. And when I got it, I was like the happiest camper in the world. There were some mods that got taken. I did want the Hitmontop really bad, but I mean, we were able to work around that. I wanted it. It's fine. In all fairness, I think what it did is made me realize I had to make some switches in my bottom tiers to make the team come together better, which in the end is great. Yeah, I mean, Charizard Ninetales is no joke. I mean, Sableye is a great fake out. It can set up Son of Ninetales. I don't need to bring that Ninetales that week. Or if I want to set up Brain for some reason. Noivern is great speed control. It's arguably the best Tailwind user in my opinion, next to Gilwing, Talonflames, and maybe Aerodactyl. And obviously Wims, Whimsicott, obviously. And then, Crocodile's a great Intimidate user. And yeah, the -2 sucks. Which is, a -4 sucks a lot. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I made sure I have answers for those weaknesses. And obviously, if I'm seeing a rock type Pokemon out front, like, I'm sorry, as much as I want to set up the Sun, I'm not going to keep Charizard in there in that situation. I'll swap out.
Yeah.
And I have some movesets already planned out for some of these mons where it's going to work out a lot in my favor of being able to switch in and out of situations that don't favor my team. The War Turtle is probably the best get. That was like the 11th hour pick. Because I was looking at something I needed. I knew I needed follow. If I needed follow me and another fake out user, I needed something and I couldn't have Blastoise. And I was like, well, it's not on the tier list, but in Eviolite, War Turtle is nothing to laugh at. And yeah, it's not got the best offense, but again, I'm not going to be using War Turtle in that way. But overall, I'm very proud of my team. I'm glad. I think it's much better than my last team. And I think, the guy who loves Charizard is not going to let Charizard down. So,
That is right.
If anyone's going to prove that Charizard doesn't need his Gigantamax to work, it's gonna be me. But I mean, I think this team is really good. I obviously will find out. You never know until you start playing against people and you have people who have prep time, and who knows. But I'm really a big fan of this team. I think it covers a lot of my weaknesses, and I'm super happy it worked out. So yeah.
I think the one thing that I will add in here, because I didn't score it as highly as Seb did, and obviously we're missing Jake, who scored it lower than all of us. Jake's had to dip out, unfortunately. But I feel like the one big issue with this is you need the potential setup. Like, there's not as good as the Mons are. I think that some of them might struggle to just sweep entirely by themselves. I mean, obviously Ninetales is a really easy setup because of the fact that it comes with Drought, but or you need Noivern with the Tailwind, or you need to use the Prankster ability from Sableye to set the rain if that's the route that you're going to go. I think that without that setup, you may lose out on some of the potential power. If someone's got a way to counter that, you might be in trouble, and that's the reason why it scored that little bit lower than Seb did, but it's still very good team.
Yeah.
All right. And then we've got Scott, the master of priority, maybe?
Can I take this from the top? Yeah. I mean, me and Nick both gave you really high, but I'm in love with this team. And the only reason why I like this team so much is because you're behind it, because I've battled you enough times to know, God dang it, Scott, what are you doing? Because I do not like this team, because I am scared. You've got really solid speed control. You have 5 fake out users.
That is ridiculous.
Great priority. 7 talent users, 3 knockoff users. You only have -1s in the type matchups. I mean, the only issue I can see is you don't have anything that has prankster. That might be a little bit of an issue at some points, but you don't like the prankster fake out. Everyone loves that, but that's like one of my only negatives. You have 3 trick room setters, but team doesn't necessarily need trick room, and just because a mod has trick room doesn't mean it needs to use trick room. And then I love Unpheasant. It's a great D tier, but in my personal opinion, you might want a little bit faster mon for Tailwind if you want to set when you want to set that up. That's my only knock against these teams. I mean, it's great, and again, I'm putting a lot of faith in Scott as a player, which is a lot of the reason why I gave him such a high score. If there was anyone else behind this team, I would not rate it as high as it is. But knowing how Scott is, knowing how hard Scott preps, given the time to prep for teams, it's going to be crazy. And I mean, he's got that Incineroar, which
you took Incineroar. What you talking about?
Yeah.
You took my Incineroar.
Yeah, so I can't even. The Incineroar is a solid S tier pick, man. And I mean, this team is gonna cause a lot of headaches. And yet again, it's on my side of the draft, and I'm not happy about it.
Well,
go ahead, guys.
I mean, he's got priority, and then he's got a way to cancel priority to everywhere else with Serena. So there's like no brainer there, He's got hard hittings with Barraskewda and like Nidoking. Incineroar is great support and attacks is pretty decent as well. Yeah, Jinx. We all know Jinx with the shenanigans. I lost to a Jinx on one of my like semifinals or whatever it was. It's just really good. Mr. Mime. I mean, I'm Pheasant with the Tailwind. I mean, it's good. I mean, Tailwind is Tailwind, right? So even if you're running it slow, it's whatever.
It's fast enough. 93 is still no joke.
Yep, and Super Luck, he might be able to do some shenanigans with Super Luck as well. So there's that. A lot of attack. I love attacking Pokemon, but I feel like most teams in this league will be heavy on the attack.
Bring some Intimidate.
Firewater Grass Course. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
That's probably the best.
I was going through the teams one by one and, ranking as I got down to Nidokings and I was looking over it and I actually had to message. I messaged the group, but Jake was the one that replied. I said, guys, what's the actual downside to the Nidokings team? Because I can't see one. Jake pointed out that there's holes in the defense side, there's lacking bulk. But for me, I feel like everything is either fast or it's bulky, right? Mm-hmm. Which means that everything is getting off, a move or two with that behind it. And even where you say that the lack in bulk, you need to be able to get in there because it's going to be killing you so quickly. I love the abilities on this team. You go to, obviously there's the Intimidate from the Incineroar, but like Serena with the Queenie Majesty, the Barraskewda with the Propeller Tail, Sheer Force on Nidoking, like every single mon has got something which scares me. Even you get down towards the bottom, Shadow Tag on Gothorita, something like that. It's a genuine problem. And those 5 fake out users, like, guys, you are not doing everything you want to on turn 1 against this team.
No,
so there were 3 teams which I scored as highly as this, which was the Milotics for Seb, the Hydreigons for Jake, and the Nidokings for Scott. And honestly, I feel like they are going to be so scary to come up against. But this team in particular, I think this team might be my favorite one in the league. It took Jake to persuade me that there were holes to get in, and like you could kill things if you try hard enough, and to drop it down to even 9.5 because I wanted to give it 10 again. Like I love this team. It's great.
It's great. It's a great team, Scott. You did.
I like how he kind of has like an answer for each of its weakness. He got the lightning rod with the Barraskewda and stuff like that. Also having Shadow Attack and Gothorita prevent your opponent from like just switching out, just making them use U-turns
That's
or
really
stuff
good,
like that.
man.
Yeah,
It's
do
really
not
good.
underestimate that.
It's got Scott's name written all over it, man. Like
Yeah.
this dude is just gonna be a pain in the butt to prep and play for, because it's as this team is as you're gonna struggle every week trying to figure out what 4 mons, 6 mons he's gonna try to bring. And the fact that he can bring, technically, if he wanted to bring 10 and swap them out, it's not gonna be
We'll
fun.
see. We'll see how
Mhm.
Scott does. I'm interested, and he's on our side of the league, so you know it's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah.
But here we go. Then we got my man Pharaoh, which I think your downside was your freaking pick order, man. You just D tier first. I think you needed to pick up your S tier straight away, or you're like a hard hitting mons and then build around that, because they took them from you. And you do know I hate Duraludon, so that's why. You know, I understand people think Duraludon is pretty good. It's just I haven't seen him being used like in a good method or whatever. But I think your team, with a couple switches, it's gonna be good. I think you need Lightning Rod user for that Gyarados. I think Gyarados is really good. And then I said something else, but I already forgot what it was. Maybe just switching a Duraludon for something else. But yeah, I think what your demise was just your pick order, because you had to like rearrange everything on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's no fun when you have your team taken from you before you can build. I mean, and I gave it a higher score because I think, again, I like to. Maybe I need to stop taking the coaches out of my scoring ranking. But in any other hands, on my opinion, this is might be the worst team on paper. But I know Nick, and I know how he battles. I know how he preps. That this definitely seems like it's gonna need to be very reliant on like Rabambi and Morgrim, which are fine mons, but again, picking them first was probably your downside. Like if you really wanted Prankster like that bad, you could have gotten the Grim if you really wanted it. But I mean, your team does have some good thing. It has really good speed control. I think Dusknoir is a great Trick Room setter. Rabambi is a pain. I loved using it. I hate it going against it. You can run your team. You can use Tailwind and Trick Room to help this team work well. It's got good redirection. Again, some main negatives is the no item removal is a big one for me. Duraludon, I just, again, like Seb, I mean, I don't like it personally, and I just don't see too much use for it on your team. Maybe you'll figure that out. And then obviously the team synergy is just lacking for me. I can't really see your team synergy too much on this one. But you're a few trades away from really getting yourself back in there. But on paper, but with you piling in this team, you can definitely make it work. There's some really cool monsters. I really like the Roserade. I love the Magmar. I love the Mudstale. Gyarados is really good as a really good Intimidate user, and with Moxie, it's really good. I mean, and I wish I got to use Dusknoir a little bit more last season, but he's no laughing matter. And you've got yourself great pieces for a really good team. You just need to swap some of those pieces out to make it the best team you can have.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like Mudsdale with Inner Focus is still good. You can still run Stamina, but like you run a weakness policy on that thing, and then speed swap it with Ribombee, and it's also gonna do some damage. You know. But what are your thoughts? Give us your thoughts, Pharaoh.
Okay, so you're not wrong that it kind of went apart a little bit during the draft. I fully now acknowledge that I prioritized the wrong things. I think the problem was that I'd sat down and I'd poured over the tier list, and I'd decided on what support mons that I wanted. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure on this. This is going to be great support. And I stand by those decisions. You know, the Morgrim, the Rabumbi, and I just shouldn't have prioritized them because everyone else was obviously picking the high tier stuff first, which in my mind I was flip-flopping on the high tier stuff so badly that I left it too late, and then I was picking from the scraps, and it made it a little bit easier because I knew that I could sort of wait to pick from those tiers, because everyone else had already picked from them. But even like, I mean, a lot of people might know I wanted the Metagross, and
Yep.
I got sniped on that. Like, but if you pick 5, you know, there's absolutely no reason that I got sniped on my S tier for pick 5. That is completely on me. All that said, I went to sleep last night and I was, you know, drained from the draft. Like, it takes a lot out. Like, it's so much fun, but I was tired. But I woke up this morning with a fresh brain, and I was like, you know what? I don't hate this team. Like, my mind's already starting piecing together like how I can use it, what I can do with it, and stuff. And don't get me wrong, Duraludon was never on my list of consideration. I think I even at some point slated it and said, why have we put this in F tier? Like, it doesn't deserve to be here. But when I was looking down the list, like, it personally felt like it fit. I don't want to go into details in terms of why, because that's giving away all my strats, obviously. But
Yeah, no.
I think I can use it. I'm sure I was
Prove
going to
me
be proved
wrong. Prove
Yeah.
me wrong, Pharaoh.
Yeah,
Prove Seb wrong.
absolutely.
Prove the meanie Seb wrong, dude. Like,
I think the score is fair, but I reckon I can use it better than the score is
there we
going
go.
right here. But
There we
we'll
go.
see. I'm definitely going to be looking for trades. And so
His
you know,
DMs are open.
yeah, guys, message me if you think you've got something I might want. Even if you think I don't want it, message me. Give me the option.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got the one and only Mr. Phoenix.
Hey.
Which I don't think you scored that bad. I mean, it was above average.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we said 5 is average, you know, you did better than me.
I really like your team, Phoenix, to be honest. I think the Credilli was a really smart pick because your water weakness is just crazy. However, if they take that down, watch out. Because water is just too prevalent, I feel like. And you just gotta watch out for it. But as we saw last season, a pure sand team just went all the way to semifinals and was wrecking everyone. We all know that Hippowdon Excadrill combo by now. Mimikyu is great. What are your speed? Yeah, you could run Trick Room if you wanted as well. Torracat is a great Intimidate user as well. Oh, he is saying he's planning on getting rid of Lunatone. Okay, good. I mean,
fine. Knowing
was
that
there a
trades
reason
are
you
available
picked
is good.
Lunatone? Hey, Cape Mega.
Hello.
Yep, we're talking about you.
Yeah, very soon. Very soon.
With no Dynamax. Yeah, I feel like Riolu. I mean, I could see Riolu being used with Excadrill and things like that. I don't think it's too necessary in this team specifically. But I don't think it's a bad pick. It also gets Follow Me and Faint. I feel like a lot of people are going to be protecting this time around, and Faint just cancels out that protect. That's one of my favorite things about Riolu, to be honest. And you also get Prankster. So there's that. I don't think it's a terrible. I was saying hi to the sand part. Oh well. Yeah.
I mean, Phoenix's team's really it's good. It's got some holes. It's got some issues it needs to cover up, but the Excadrill, Hippo, and Mimikyu are a great first 3 that you got. You've got a mini instant with that Torracat, man. Like, I was looking at Torracat as well. Like, you is a great Pokemon to pick up for your C tier, man. Same thing with the Cradilly. I think, you know, if that thing's gone with all the water types, it's gonna be hard. Riolu, I'm not the biggest fan of Riolu right now within a non-Dynamax format, but it's definitely you know, can find uses. You definitely have uses for it. Some of my biggest issues with the team, again, as I mentioned, your team is kind of slow, and it's not necessarily the best team for like a trick room setter if you want to run trick room on it. Extra drill will be fine in it, but it's I feel like extra drill is wasted on that pick. But overall, I mean, it's not a bad team. You do definitely now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna pull up the Draft League website just to make sure I'm not crazy when I say this. Yeah, you've got one fake out user, which is really good. You're definitely and this one you're definitely gonna need some item removal. I think item removal is pretty prevalent for this season. And then I mean, the clerics aren't a big weakness, but I still think having the ability to maybe heal up some of your Pokemon or help with some status conditions would not hurt this team at all, and not having it is it's definitely not helping it. But overall, I mean, I gave it a 5.5. I think trading out that Lunatone is a big thing. I'm curious to see how you're going to use Appleton. I'm very curious to see how you plan on using that. I want to see that thing succeed. Cloyster is no joke with his ability. But those first three, man, your extra drill, Hippowdon and Mimikyu, they're great, man, and it's going to be a pain for anyone trying to go up against those guys. So you've got a good core three right there that work well. And Rotom Heat, I'm not the biggest fan of Rotom Heat, but it definitely can be used in the right situations. And Phoenix, you're a great battler, you're a great team prepper. You know how you're going to want to run your team. So, and I think, again, it goes down to those people piloting those teams and knowing how to pilot them, which is why your score is a little bit better than what it is.
Yeah, I like the Rotom pick. I kind of agree with Josh that maybe Riolu could have been used since Tangela is available. We talked previously that we couldn't believe that Tangela was still out there. So yeah, looking at it like that, then yeah, maybe Riolu, because I don't think the extra drill needs the extra attack. I think it's still gonna go through stuff. And Hippowdon is just a good mon in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Farrell?
Right, okay. I don't know whether you can hear me. My mic is playing up and my headset is. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, man.
Okay, all right. So I can hear the stream. For some reason, I can't hear the Discord. So forgive me if I'm a little bit behind, and if I repeat anything that's just been said, I'm gonna have to go get a replacement headset in just a second. But looking down it, the two big things for me were the big two exploitable type holes. I know you've got Storm Drain there for the water type, but that's still a lot of weakness to it. And ground is one of the most offensive, like really, really good offensive types. And there's no flying type in there or anything like that. It's I think a good ground type user, something with earth power or high horsepower, something like that, is going to absolutely rip through the team. That, as well as the speed tiers being a little bit mixed up, you've got no Tailwind user, and your team isn't slow enough to run in Trick Room. So it wants that extra speed boost. I think there's a lot of teams that are looking at Tailwind, and you're going to potentially struggle there. That said, on the plus side of this team, I feel like it has the potential to do a lot of damage if you don't prep right for it. If somebody preps for this team, I think they're going to be okay. But if somebody misses something, or you can find something to exploit on their team, I feel this team has the potential to do some real damage to it. Mimikyu is an absolutely great mon. The Hippowdon and the Excadrill combo, we know damn well from last season how well that does. Riolu, it's a little bit weak, but to be fair, you bang an Eviolite on that and put the right IVs and EVs on it, and it can be a real asset to the team. There's a lot here which people have to consider. I just feel that as long as they do consider it, that's where you're going to fall down and struggle. But I know that you can bring that stuff that's gonna find that hole that people won't be prepped for and stuff. So I mean, we'll see for sure.
Yeah, Phoenix brought a physical Zapdos to my
I'm gonna disappear for 1 second
stream,
to try and grab a different headset.
If Phoenix can find out something, it's him. If someone can find out something to do with this team, it's him. And I don't think it's too bad. You just need a couple of trades and it'll be fine. But yeah, let's hop on over onto the Kanto with the Politoeds.
Hey.
I gotta say, I love the Rillaboom. Rillaboom is one of my favorite Pokemon, I would say. It was my backup, like my second backup after Instant, just because the priority that Pokemon gets, it's really nice. Ninetales, love it. Love a lone Ninetales. I know you wanted to go with the Arctovish. I would have personally paired it with Arctozolt because I believe it's a little better. But regardless, you did cover one of its weakness with Raichu. So that's good. You can also get really good redirection. Drifblim is great for Tailwind. You also have the possibility of going Trick Room. I do like the Malamar. Malamar with Contrary, watch out, because that thing could just get its boost up and up and up and up and just keep it going. Yeah, I think it's a solid team. I just would have changed the Arctovix for Arctozolt and stuff like that. I think Dragalge, it's a good Dragon Poison if you needed the coverage, but it's not. I don't feel like it's the best. Having Turtonator there, I think you should have, have gotten something else other than Dragalge. But that's my opinion. I don't know. I do want to see a fissure from that Wishcash, please.
Yes.
I do want to see a fissure
definitely.
from that Wishcash. So hopefully we get to see some of those. Here are some of the tiers. Yeah, you could tell he's a little bit of a slower team. He doesn't have a Tailwind setter either. So
No, he doesn't. Yeah, no, I mean the Canada team's really good. I like this team much better than his last season's team. Just for him personally, it's still out of the box. It still screams Kanto all over it, which I love. The Ninetales Arctofish is insane. Rillaboom's is amazing. I mean, your team, you have really good team base stat totals all through it. You do have a good mix of Trick Room with some Tailwind if you wanted to run that with Drifblim. So they can work in both ways if you really wanted to. You check all the boxes, everything on the draft site. You check, you got multiple Pokemon and redirection, speed control, cleric, priority, item removal, taunt, damage reducers. You check all the boxes down there, which is a big thing for me. Raichu, I know why you have Raichu for Lightning Rod, obviously, but my biggest issue is how you're gonna run that Raichu. Besides that, if it's really just there to protect the fish, I mean that's fine. Me personally, I wouldn't waste a B. Yeah, it does get fake out, but I wanted to took a B tier pick on Lightning Rod, but that is a good area. Maybe I would have went another mon besides Raichu for that. I'm not the biggest fan of the Turtonator, and I'm not a really big fan of the Wigglytuff. Those are just two mons that I'm struggling to see uses for me personally. Obviously, Kanto, how to use those mons, so you wanted to pick them. Your Trick Room you can definitely set up Trick Room with this team if you want to, but it's not the best Trick Room team I can see of you running. Obviously, it works in Trick Room, but it's not really a Trick Room team, obviously. And then besides physical and attacking, I mean, your biggest attacker is your Rillaboom, and then that's really your biggest hard-hitting thing. I think you might struggle a little bit with, other than the Arctovish. The Arctovish will be great and Hail, but if that Hail's not there, you might have some struggle taking out some mons. But obviously, Kanto, we know what you're all about. You're a great battler, and you definitely turned it around last season towards the end, and I'm expecting a strong start. And this season, and this team this season definitely is definitely a lot better than what I thought from last season. So good on you, man. You drafted a really good team, and I cannot wait to see what you do with it, man.
He did say he wanted Torracat over Turtonator, but I feel like Turtonator's still a good pick here.
Yeah, Turtonator's fine, but I'm just not the biggest fan. What do you think, Nick?
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I don't think it's my headset. I actually think it's my internet dropping out.
Oh,
So
okay.
forgive
Okay.
me for any delay in what I have to say here. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. We're nearly at the end of this. So Politoeds are looking down it. I feel like there's medium amounts of support there. There's medium bulk, and I mean decent power. Like it's not the fact that it's medium is kind of fine, but it's not great. But it's not bad, and because of that, it's still a little bit tricky to deal with. I've actually got it down as potentially like hard to prep for with only that one real type hole there of rock. But again, everyone's got that defensive hole in their type list. And I think I've seen Josh mention it in the chat as well. But so I don't know if you guys have already touched on any of this that I'm saying, but there's some weird speed tiers going on here. That's the bit that I feel is the biggest problem. With the like what I think he's actually said, what are you using Tailwind for? Like the Tailwind isn't even that fast to set up. Yeah, it's just going to be difficult to like sort out, I think, with that speed there. That said, the Arctovish, I know I heard Luke mention it at least once. The ice, I think ice is potentially one of the strongest weathers in this season. I might get proven wrong, but there's definitely some stuff there. I just think there's some holes. There's some
Yeah.
holes.
All right, well, let's hop on to 15 and Token,
Alrighty.
which granted he was
Hey.
not there. He was in and out of the draft, so he was telling me what to draft and stuff. He did make a couple mistakes. He didn't mean to draft both Centiskorch and Butterfree at the same time, or like those two at least. He did want some other Pokemon that got sniped, so it's kind of a little bit hard for him to prep. But I think he's got solid mons. Like on Garchomp, I think it's solid. On Milotic, it's a solid one. Butterfree is solid, and I really like the Purloin. I just don't know how he's going to be using it with this team. His speed tiers are all as well, like a little bit all over the place. But I think with a couple changes on that Centiskorch with a better Pokemon, as well as maybe the Leafeon, or even Lantern, but I don't know what else is left. I think he could bring it back. But I really like the Butterfree pick. His rock type weakness is what he's really got. You know, those two four times weak to rock, and then the flying.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to fix that kind of stuff. Sunny day for Centiskorch and Leafeon. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that. I know he did want the Volt Absorb. So there's that. We'll see how he's gonna use it. Hopefully he does better this time around than last week, but he got a solid 6, so you know.
Yeah, I mean his team is it's good. It's a little bit better than average, and you know, he's got some great S and A tiers with the Garchomp, Milotic, and the Bisharp. Purloin, I love the Purloin pick. I was looking at its mom Liepard for a little bit. But Purloin's awesome. I think Toxicroak's a sleeper pick, man. Like I used it a couple times last season and it worked out really well for me. He's got really good type matchups here. For some of them, it's solid. It's not great. It's not bad. It's solid. The negatives, I just don't. I mean, like you said, he did obviously didn't mean to do Butterfree and Centiskorch, but that was one of my negatives. The Butterfree and the Centiskorch is just, it doesn't look pretty right now. He has 3 mods that potentially need a Focus Sash, which is which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a great thing either, because if you want to use that mon, you can only use 1 Focus Sash per week, so that limits on what you can bring. Lantern is the Volt Absorber on Lantern is fine, but that's really like, I don't know why. I don't think Lantern's that great of a mon. Also having 3 water types on your team is, I mean, while it does cover like the electric weakness, because with Lantern and all that, it's not the best. But besides that, I mean, the team is good. Like I said, everyone's team is gonna need, you know, a few traits here and there, or a free agent pick here and there to make them better. But I do like what Josh mentioned. the Purloin with Sunny Day to help boost the Sense of Scorch and Leafeon. That definitely is an option if he wasn't thinking that. So definitely keep that in mind if you are set on keeping the Sense of Scorch and Leafeon. But overall, I mean, it's a solid team, man. It's a pretty darn good team, and I like his team a lot better than last year. And I'm curious to see how Token decides to run his team this year for sure.
Yeah, another thing he's missing is a good special attacker that's over base 100. I don't see any on his team. Only attackers, so maybe that's something to consider as well for Token. Yeah, Butterfree does get Tailwind. That is true. Also, like Scarf Butterfree with just like Sleep Powder is great. So, yeah, he could consider running something like that. You know, Togetic does get Tailwind Phoenix. Yeah. But yeah, Pharaoh, are you back?
Right. Okay. So, but I can only hear what you're saying on the stream. So as I say, forgive the delay. The Discord is so broken up. But I am here, and I can give you brief opinions. At this point, by the time we'd gone through them, I was starting to lose focus, because going through 16 like deep dives into them is a lot. And I've even got written down here, it's so weird. Speed tiers are not bad, but no means bad. So like, you can tell my state of mind at this point. I don't like the speed. The speed is, other than Tentacruel at 100 and Garchomp at 102, there's not a huge amount there, which is particularly impressive. And even Garchomp at 102 isn't anything which is, super scary compared to a lot of stuff. Then there's very few screen setters. Like, I think it's either light screen or reflect. There's only one of those that can get set up. Or like there's only one of them only has one that can do it. Which isn't crucial by any means, but it's sort of awkward. There's a couple of types here as well which are sort of exploitable. I think what I did hear you guys talking about, a couple of trades would make this team really good. Like, we've got it at a solid 6, like everyone's gone 6 across the board, but I reckon this could really jump if a couple of trades could get in there. I know you've both, well, at least I heard Luke mention Center Scorch. I think that's the one that I'd like to see gone myself most.
I agree the same.
I don't know exactly what for. I haven't started looking through all the potential options and stuff, but Center Scorch is the one which just doesn't sit right for me. You could argue you could do Butterfree as well, but I feel Butterfree has more potential like usage in a VGC format. I think Center Scorch loses a lot without the Dynamax or Gigantamax even. And like a couple of poison types down there in the C tier, that's opening yourself up a little bit as well. I don't know. There's definitely a building block here that can go up from. I just don't know exactly what changes they'd want to make. It's a solid team, and I don't think it's going to be a pushover by any means, but I think it's just missing an X factor,
Yeah, we'll see what he brings to the table. I really hope he does better this time around. I think he's got a better understanding of how the draft league works and all that kind of stuff. So really, I really hope he does better. And with that, we come the last pick. The last pick. Hey Mega. Look at this team. I really like it. I really like it. It's got decent speed control, Grimmsnarl's great support, Arcanine with the Thibault, just watch out for the Justified. I think Arcanite's probably one of the best A tiers we had. Mienshao with the Fake Out Inner Focus and Wide Guard, which is good. It is not terrible, okay, Mega. I do agree with some of the comments where Rotom Wash deserves a change. Maybe you could get a better A tier. I feel like the Rotoms are not as good after the Dynamax, not having Dynamax. I do like the Vaporeon. I think it's fairly bulky, if I remember correctly, and it has decent special attack. Yeah, so 110 and 130 in HP, it's fine. So yeah, I think it's good. Galvantula, we all know you know how to use it. Steelix is another one that I'm not too sold on this team. I think Steelix is great. It's just the water weakness and the fighting weakness is too prevalent, and then it's too slow. Although if you do manage to get, you know, like an iron defense and stuff like that, it could be a little dangerous. That defense is no joke on Steelix. You also, no, never mind. You do have fairly good special attackers. I just feel like you could use a better an A tier and something else from Steelix. Yeah, what's Vaporeon for? I feel like it's a good special attacker. I think at that point in the draft there weren't many C tiers left. I was looking at them myself. I was looking for special attackers, and I think there weren't many B tiers. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's why I chose Espeon. Yeah. I
was
meant
looking
B
at
tier.
Vaporeon too.
I meant B tier. So that's why I chose Espeon.
No, I mean, K Mega's team is I think it's really, really good. I think he's got great team synergy. I think just like he's got overall his team has really good team based stats. Like everyone's like there's not really a weak area on his team. I really like Mandibuzz as a Tailwind user. I think I was looking at Mandibuzz for a little bit too. I think it's a very underrated Tailwind user. Having 3 Fake Out Mons is great. Fake Out is really big for me. Having it with Grim, Mian, and Thwacky, great. You cover all the boxes in the draft league site. You know, that's really, really solid. And then like everyone is kind of you have okay redirection, not the best redirection. I think you're going to need a little bit more help on the redirection side. You don't have anything amazing or great in special defense, which you know is not the biggest thing, but it's definitely would you would benefit from having something with a little bit better special defense on your team in case you go up against a team that has a lot of special attackers. Then the -2 fairy, I just think you don't have an answer for that with Steelix, but then again, you have to make sure Steelix is moving faster to get rid of the fairy type. But -2 and fairy is just one of those types where there's a lot of fairy types around. There's a lot of mons that can use fairy type moves, which is, I just out of any -2, I really just don't like seeing fairy or dragon or mons that are going to be a lot in there. So maybe fix that up maybe a little bit, or you just roll with the punches. And then obviously, like everyone's mentioned, get yourself a different A tier. I really don't think Rotom Wash is gonna do much for you this season. I think, that's how I feel about a lot of the Rotoms. I just don't think the Rotoms are going to be that beneficial in a non-Dynamax format. I mean, they did work from previous knowledge, beforehand. They did work with C-Moose. They did work with, some things. Rotom Wash was very prevalent in VGC, so maybe there's a way it works. It's just on this team, I just don't see it. So definitely go for a different A tier. And I think if you pick some power or something else that will help out your team synergy a little bit better, you'll be solid, man. That Arcanine's no joke. We all saw what Jake was able to do with that Grimmsnarl, man. It's really good. You've got a lot to work with, and your team works really well with every mon on your team works really well with each other. And I'm very excited to see what you do. Maybe, you bring it back and run it back, and you'll be back in the finals this year and take home that crown. But I really like this team. I like it a lot more than your team last year, even though your team, I mean, it's so funny. We pointed this out the entire time, and I'll put this out there just for anyone. Last season, K Mega had the lowest ranked team, and he went to the finals with it.
Yep.
And that's just saying that despite what we're saying about your team, despite what holes we're saying, despite anything we're saying, this is your team. You can learn how to make it work. There's lots of trades. There's lots of opportunities to make use of it. The more you use your team, and this is how I feel. When I started last year, I was not the best with my team until about week 5. Is when I started getting on the money with my team and figuring out what my team's good against. It will take time to get used to your team, but the second you get used to your team, man, and you know what your team is weak to, what your team is good against, it makes it so much easier, and then you can make those adjustments, just like Jake did near the end, where he was able to take his hogwash of running, I don't even the Grimmsnarl on Fat Bat. I mean, like he took that and built a solid team, and you guys can do that as well. So no matter what your score is, and this will just be my final piece to say, no matter what it is, you guys just battle hard, work hard, and good job, K Mega, and we'll pass it over to Nick. So go ahead, Nick.
Gotta give some time.
Right. Okay then. So I know again things have been touched upon. Going last, it's always going to be the case. You've got a big fairy shaped hole in the defenses. Not great. And I know people are touching on the Rotom Wash not being as good in this format because no Dynamax. While I do agree, that isn't my issue. Like I still think Rotom Wash is a good mon, right?
Yeah.
My one that I look down this team and I'm just like, why, is Steelix. Steelix for me, which I think Seb touched on, is I just don't understand what it's doing there. I know damn well that if anyone's going to prove us wrong, it's going to be UK Mega, right? You are, well, I think you definitely were. You had the best ratio win to loss last season. So, there's no doubt that you know what you're doing with these sort of picks, but I just look at it and I'm just like, what's its point? Other than it potentially being a steal to raise up that fairy defense, but that's not great if the mon itself isn't doing a lot for the team synergistic wisely. You got no follow me, so there's very little redirection, and that is sort of where I sort of struggle. On the other side of it, I think the rest of the team is solid. Galvantula, Mandibuzz, they're low picks, but they're great. Thwacky was one of my favorite mons from last season. Absolutely loved using Thwacky. He does so much for your team. And then Grimmsnarl and Arcanine at the top end are great. Rotom Wash as well is not bad. Granted, not as good, but Grimmsnarl and Arcanine are possibly two of the best mons in the whole draft. And I definitely wanted Arcanine myself. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I've got to say on the matter, really. But I think you've got some real potential there. Just what's that Steelix doing, dude? If you can explain to me what that Steelix is doing, I would love to know.
Yeah, I remember I was picking the Steelix last season just for coverage, and I brought it once or twice. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best pick.
No.
It was too slow. And I was running a Trick Room team as well. It just didn't work out. Or maybe I just didn't use it properly. But yeah, hopefully you guys will prove us wrong if you didn't like your score. But anyways, this is just our opinion anyways. It's just a little overview for the league. We'll do one later on after a couple trades, maybe in the middle or maybe just before playoffs or something like that. When trades are locked in and but yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a blast. I really enjoyed the draft, and just remember, there's week 1 is due next week already. Yeah,
it's due next week. Make sure. Do we have a slide to show the actual power rankings?
Yes, Scott's asking for just a quick rundown so you can see.
I could go through them all, or I could just show the list, but I think it's prettier to. Let's just go through them all real quick. We got the Lugias. We got Joshi, I believe was 2. Yep, Joshi. We got myself. We got the Scissors. We got the Slowpokes. The Outrages, which is my week 1. I'm already prepping for it. We got Jake. Then we got Brandon. Then we got the Jack. Then we got the Noctowls, my favorite team by far. Nidokings. Then we got the Beartics. Almost skipped one. Salamences. Go Politoed. Then the Luxrays, and finally K-Mega once again. So that was it. And yeah, thank you guys for joining. I had a blast. We'll see you guys. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. You're gonna see these lovely faces during the league. I'm really excited. We have a lot of stuff planned. If you are planning on recording your content, we would appreciate you let us know. We'll give you the appropriate permissions in the Discord, but we're also running on our new YouTube channel. We're gonna run a commentary of the draft. So if you're willing to let us know when you're playing, and if you can record your content for us, we would love it. You don't have to though, but I would greatly appreciate it. I know Joshy, you're always in there. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm probably just gonna raid one of my friends, and I'll see you guys, tomorrow and during the league. So
yeah,
good luck, no hacks, like Jake said.
Yeah, good luck, no hacks. Have a lot of fun, guys. It's gonna be a fun season. So much fun. Enjoy it. You're not gonna be in a meta like this probably ever again, unless we run it back for season 3.
Exactly.
But it's gonna be a lot of fun. You guys are gonna have a blast. It's so much fun. And thank you to all the newcomers who have joined the league. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you come around and stick around. And everyone who returned, thank you again for returning and having fun with us. Season 2 is going to be, once again, just a blast. So thank you guys so much. It's going to be a blast.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. All righty.
Right.
Bump, ba-da, bump, bump, ba-da.